Welcome back to Commander on Curve, where we build smarter and not pricier. I'm Pat, and today we're diving into a somewhat budget-friendly deck that has to do with legendary creatures, and it plays to win in one of the most fun ways I've ever had a rainbow deck play. Let's get into it. A while back, I bought a precon with Dihada Binder of Wills. It had a very good legendary theme, but I got a Secret Lair, and I thought I could revamp Dihada and make it, legendary. So, we have here, boom, Sisay Weatherlight Captain, although it's the Buttercup Provincial Princess Secret Lair copy, and it's amazing. So let's see. Buttercup Provincial Princess gets a +1/+1 for each color among other legendary permanents you control. You can pay Wooburg, the white, blue, black, red, and green. Search your library for a legendary permanent card, pretty cool, with mana value less than Buttercup's power. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. So we have here Buttercup is a 2/2 for 3 mana. That's why she's our commander, because tutoring for whatever we want, once her power's up high enough, is pretty freaking spectacular. And it's cheaper than a 5 cost, which we were going to use Jodah, the Unifier, as our commander, which you can swap him out if you really want to. But this one is amazing, and it's cool. Look at that. It's a Princess Bride. Who doesn't love Princess Bride? So let's talk about our stuff. Back to Dihada. She's the only Planeswalker in the deck, because she's pretty good, especially with legendary creatures. She's a 4-drop, 1 red, white, and black. 5 loyalty when she enters. The +2, up to 1 target legendary creature gains Vigilance, Lifelink, and Indestructible until your next turn. It's pretty good. Reveal the top 4, okay, the -3, sorry. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put any number of legendary cards from among them into your hand, and the rest into your graveyard. Create a treasure token for each card put into your graveyard this way. Treasure is great for this deck because we need all 5 colors to activate Sisay. One thing to keep in mind, she is 3 colors, so she will give Sisay a +3 buff, making Sisay a 5/5. And when you Wooburg Sisay's ability, you can look for something. Excuse me, what is going on? With you can Wooburg for a 4-drop, which is pretty good. I'll show you all the 4-drops soon enough. -11 though, gain control of all non-land permanents until end of turn. Untap them, they gain haste until end of turn. That's pretty awesome. Say other people have stuff we like, we're gonna steal it for 1 turn and probably win the game. So let's talk about the rest of the cards. With a 5-color deck, we need to ensure we have the right colors to activate this ability. So there's some ramp. A Fellowar Stone. It's a 2-drop that gives us 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. We're running all 5 colors, so this will get us a color that will help us. And we can tutor for lands and figure out what colors we need to make this work for our benefit. And it's only a 2-drop. We have an Arcane Signet. 2-drop. Taps for 1 mana of any color in our commander's identity. So, any color we need. A Commander Sphere also taps for 1 color of our commander's identity. And we can sacrifice it late game and draw a card. A Chromatic Lantern. Woo-woo! A 3-drop that gives all of our lands tap, add 1 mana of any color. And it taps for 1 mana of any color. Kind of a given. Some other stuff we have that's not ramp related. We have here Sword of the Chosen. You can pay 2 and play this and tap. Target legendary Target legendary creature gets a +2/+2 until end of turn. Say we have this out. It's an artifact. It does not have summoning sickness. We give Sisay +2/+2. Pay the rainbow. Taste the rainbow. bring out something huge. We also have a Black Blade Reforged, if I could speak. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each land you control. Legendary equip is 3. Regular equip is 7. I think there's only 2 non-legendary creatures in this whole entire deck. And then 33? 31 or 33 legendaries. So, yeah, we're only going to be paying 3, if not less. The Reaver Cleaver. It is a 2 and a red for a legendary artifact. Equipped creature gets a +1/+1 and has trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, create that many treasure tokens. Whoa, we like treasure tokens. This is good. We get treasure tokens, we pay the Wooburg, bam, we're getting all of our legends out, and we're going crazy. A 5-drop Heroes Podium. Each legendary creature you control gets a +1/+1 for each other legendary creature you control. You can pay X, tap it, look at the top X cards of your library. You may reveal a legendary creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Holy mackerel. 1/1 for each other legend. So, Sisay is getting big. That's kind of the point of the deck, especially with the Black Blade Reforged. We put it on Sisay, make her big, Wooburg for all the big daddies in our deck. So, that's good. And I know we have Dihada in the deck, but we're not guaranteed her every single game. Oh, the Immortal Sun. This is one of my favorite artifacts in the entire game. Players can't activate Planeswalker's loyalty abilities. As much as that sucks, we do have cards that can destroy this if we need to. But for now, let's focus on this. Ooh, at the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card. And our spells cost 1 less, which is nice because there are some pretty heavy cards in here. And our creatures get a +1/+1. So, Sisay is getting a 1/1 buff. Fantastic. With all the other cards, it just stacks. So we could Wooburg, play whatever we want from our deck. Let's go to our instants and sorceries. Sorceries. So these, as you all know, you play on your turn, not other people's. We'll get to the instance in a moment. So we got some removal. Vindicate. 1, a white and a black. Destroy target permanent. Let's get rid of the pesky stuff that might be bothering our board. Or Immortal Sun if we want to ulti Dihada. Told you. See, we have a redundancy. And some ramp. Cultivate. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal them, put 1 on the battlefield tapped, the other into your hand, then shuffle. Pretty standard, most people know what that is. And for those big games, we have Tempt with Discovery. It's a 4-drop, 3 and a green, but Tempting offers interesting. Search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield. Each opponent may search their library for a land card and put it on the battlefield. For each opponent who searches a library this way, search your library for a land card and put it on the battlefield. Then each player who searched a library this way shuffles it. Now, note that this says a land card, not a basic land. This can be any land in the deck. It does give everyone else the same thing, but if they choose to search for any land they want, we get an additional any land we want. So, think about it. Play some politics, win the game. Or we still get 1 land, which is nice. That's how you lose friends, though, sometimes. And a circuitous route. Like I said, some of this is budget friendly. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and or gate cards. Put them on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Now for some of the legendary sorceries. Oh boy. We got a 5-drop here. 4 and a white. Exile all non-land permanents that aren't legendary. Don't need to worry about that too much with this deck because most of our permanents are legendary. Karn's Temporal Sundering. The target player takes an extra turn after this one. Return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Exile Karn's Temporal Sundering. So probably target ourselves to have an extra turn and return something, who knows, annoying to someone else's hand, or return maybe the Immortal Sun to our hand so we can play Dihada. Who knows? Still, legendary. Also, the legendary stuff, you can only cast it when there's a legendary creature or planeswalker on the battlefield. Same thing with this one. Primeval's Glorious Rebirth. It is a 7-drop, but return all legendary permanent cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Say we're getting milled, we come across this before it gets milled. Oh my goodness, this could be a game ender. Especially if we have some of the other cards that, have to do with creature ETBs. It's great. Trust me, I'm an engineer. Our last legendary sorcery, though, is Kamal's Druidic Vow. 2 green and X. Look at the top X cards of your library. You may put any number of land and or legendary permanent cards with converted mana cost X or less from among them on the battlefield. Put the rest into your graveyard. So, with the exception of our instants and sorceries, every permanent is legendary or a land. So whatever we pay for X is going to hit something, and we're going to get it for free. Hopefully we can dump some big mana into this, maybe cast it for 8 or 10. That would be ideal, but still a good card for casting it for maybe 3 for X or 5. It's good. Now for the instance, gotta get rid of pesky stuff sometimes. Whoop. We have Wear and Tear. Destroy target artifact, destroy target enchantment. Another thing we're going to use on this, in case this is blocking Dihada from ulti, or the enchantment for someone might be prisoning, playing a prison deck against us. So Wear is a 2-drop, Tear is a 1-drop, and you can play both halves if you pay both costs. And it's a really low cost, pretty good. We like it. 1 and a black for D-Spark. Exile target permanent with converted mana cost 4 or greater. That's going to be good. Growth Spiral. Green and a blue. Draw a card. You may put a land card from your hand on the battlefield. It's pretty helpful. Thrill of Possibility. As an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card. Draw 2 cards. So, say we discard a legendary. That's okay. We have ways to get them back. We have the Ruinous Blast. We have Kethis in here. There's just... If you got to pitch something, just pitch something with the highest mana cost. Get it back out for free later. Unless you win the game before then. Once upon a time. If this spell was the first spell you've cast this game, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If we get this in our hands, oh man, right in the opening hand, that's going to be gold. Another card for getting rid of stuff, Generous Gift. Destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green elephant creature token. Beast Within. Destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green beast creature token. Mortify. 1, a white and a black. Destroy target creature or enchantment. Bedevil. 2 black and a red. Destroy target artifact, creature, or planeswalker. Fact or Fiction. This one's in here because it could be kind of fun. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library. An opponent separates them into 2 piles. Put 1 pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. So, it doesn't matter if they go in our hand or our graveyard. We have ways to get them back. Last but not least, this one's one of my favorites, and it's kind of a pet card. Settle the Wreckage. 2 and 2 white. Exile all attacking creatures target player controls. That player may search his or her library for that many basic cards. Put those cards on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle his or her library. Nobody expects this, because I think people forget this card exists. This was one of my favorite white cards ever. And, it's just... It has a special place in my heart. Because it exiles. Alright. Let's get into those legends. Starting with low mana cost to high mana cost, we have Rograk, son of Rogar. It's a 0. It's a 0/1. Well, that kind of sucks, right? This guy is absolutely ridiculous. First strike, menace, trample. So we play him for free, and he has this little red thing right there, which means he has the red color identity. So Buttercup gets a +1 for him. And once we get Jodah or the Hero's Podium or anything that buffs legendary creatures, this guy gets huge. First strike, menace, trample, even the Reaver Cleaver. It's just, it's so underrated, this guy. This is one of our non-legendary creatures, the Delighted Halfling. It taps for colorless, or we can tap for 1 mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast a legendary spell, and it can't be countered. This should be legendary. I really believe that. I'm going to die on that hill. But we need some ramp, and this guy can't be countered when you use it for color to cast a legendary spell. And it's a 1/2, so it's not even a useless 1-drop. It's a 1/2. You can block like a Llanowar off with this guy. And just to be annoying, we have Lavinia, a Azorius Renegade. A white and a blue. Each opponent can't cast non-creature spells with converted mana cost greater than the number of lands they control. So it kind of shuts down ramping into Planeswalkers or ramping into crazy spells. And, a second part. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter it. No playing free on my watch. So we have an automatic counter spell right here for stuff that's being paid out for free. So you got an Atali going on, or the Big Daddy Atali. This will stop that from happening. And it's a 2/2. It's pretty good. We have this guy, Jodah, Ghoul Caller of Nephalia. It's a 2-drop, 1/1. At the beginning of your end step, if you control no creatures with Decayed, you create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. So each turn we can basically start pumping out our 2/2 zombie and attack the next turn with it. Even if it dies, we get another one to replace it. So it's pretty good. And it's an easy tutorable card if we get our Wooburg and she's not buffed yet, or she gets a +1 buff. We can easily find this, giving her a +2 buff. And then, yeah, all the cards make sense. Captain Lannery Storm, a OG card from Ixalan. Sorry, my eye itched. 2/2 with haste. Whenever it attacks, create a treasure token. We love treasure. That's fantastic. Whenever you sack a treasure, this guy gets +1/+0 till end of turn. And it's a 3-drop, so relatively early, especially if you're ramping the stuff. Now, if you don't know who Jodah the Unifier is, it will make sense soon enough. But Krenko Tin Street Kingpin. Once we get Jodah out, this guy gets a huge buff, especially when we get multiple legendary creatures out. So when this attacks, put a 1/1 counter on it, then create a number of 1/1 red goblin creature tokens equal to its power. I have had this thing be 11/12, and then go to attack, becomes a 12/13, and I'm getting 12 gobos. So it's worth it to keep in the deck. The color helps her get, nice and big. Lets us tutor for things, and it works. Trust me, it gets huge. And then you get so many goblins. And they can jump block. Another 3-drop, we have Kethis, the Hidden Hand. Legendary spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and you can exile 2 legendary cards from your graveyard. Until end of turn, each legendary card in your graveyard gains. You may play this card from your graveyard. Pretty awesome. For white, black, and green, and it's a 3/4. So it's a pretty big body with a pretty good ability. And we get stuff from our graveyard. So that's fantastic. Oh, here is our other non-legendary broski, the Solemn Simulacrum, or the Sad Robot, or Solemn Golem. Whatever you call it in your pods, we call it the Solemn Golem. It's a 2/2 for 4, but when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tap, then shuffle. When it dies, you draw a card. So, cannon fodder, or sacrifice fodder to draw a card. Gets us some color fixing. It's pretty good. Back up to the 4-drops. Marchesa, or Marchesa, who knows? The Black Rose. 3/3 with Dethrone. Whenever this creature attacks the player with the most life or tied for most life, put a 1/1 counter on it. Other creatures you control have Dethrone. Whenever a creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it dies, return that card to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. Holy Christmas. We just start swinging in at the person with the most life or tie for the most. All of our gets 1/1 counters. And then, if it dies, it comes back at our end step. What's wrong with that? And it's only a 4-drop. Plus, the 3 colors in this card buff Sisay up with a +3, which puts her at 5. So we can start tutoring for 4 drops. Awesome. This guy's only a single color, but it's good. The Questing Beast. 4/4 with Vigilance, Death Touch, and Haste. Questing Beast can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. My bad. Combat damage that would be dealt by creatures you control can't be prevented, so no fogs. Whenever Questing Beast deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to target Planeswalker that player controls. Wow. There's a reason this card is good. Sadly, only 1 color, so it only buffs her up by a +1 if, she doesn't have green already, but anyways. This guy's special. Kolvori, God of Kinship, 2 and 2 green. As long as you control 3 or more legendary creatures, he gets +4/+2 and has Vigilance. So it turns him into a 6/6 when we have 3 or more legends. You can pay 1 and a green, tap it, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a legendary creature card from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom in a random order. Or, if we need some early ramp, we do have an artifact here. Enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Just pick something random. Tap for green to spend mana to cast a creature spell of the chosen type or a legendary. All of our stuff is legendary, so we get green for our legends. And that's a 2-drop. And we have here Haktos, the Unscarred. 2 red, 2 white. It attacks each combat if able. As it enters the battlefield, choose 2, 3, or 4 at random. It has protection from each converted mana cost other than the chosen number, and it's a 6/1, which will get buffed by some of the other cards in the deck. The protection thing's a little bit janky. You kind of got to look it up to double check the rulings. But if, say, you guys choose 3, anything that's not a converted mana cost 3 basically can't touch this. Odric, the Lunarch Marshal. He's a 3/3 for 4. At the beginning of each combat, creatures you control gain first strike until end of turn if a creature you control has first strike. The same is true for Flying, Death Touch, Double Strike, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Skulk, Trample, and Vigilance. That's a mouthful, but amazing. Shannon, Sleeper's Scourge. Another 4-drop. 2/4 with Menace. Other legendary creatures you control have Menace, which is fantastic. Whenever you play a legendary land or cast a legendary spell, you draw a card and lose 1 life. There's a lot of life gain in this. That's not going to hurt us, but we like card draw, we like Menace, and we like having 3 colors in a card to give our Sisay a buff for those 3 colors. Kadric, Soul Kindler. 2 in red and white. The legend rule does not apply to tokens you control. Whenever another non-token legendary permanent enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1. 1. If you do, create a token that's a copy of it. That token gains haste, and it gets sacrificed at the beginning of the next end step. Some of these legendary creatures, having 2 of them is almost unfair. But we get to have 2. We have here Captain Sisay. 2 in a green and a white. Legendary creature, human soldier. 2/2. Tap it. Search your library for a legendary card. Reveal it. Put it in your hand. Then shuffle. Yep. It's a tutor. On a 2/2 body. And it's fantastic. We have here Fezzik, the Rhyming Giant. It's actually a Brian Stoutarm. Oh, look at that. It's beautiful. 4/4 with lifelink. You can pay 1 red, tap it, sack another creature. Fezzik, Rhyming Giant deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to target player or planeswalker. And it has lifelink, so if we sack one of our creatures when they're 12/12, it's going to do 12 damage. We're going to gain 12 life, and it's just This deck is so broken. I can't begin to express. Once it starts going, it does not stop. We have Jodah, Weatherlight Captain, 2, a blue, and a red. Whenever you cast a historic spell, draw a card. Artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are historic. It's a 3/3. Once we play this, every legendary card we play, or historic card I should say, replaces itself back to like, it's just bonkers. This card is so good. Counts for artifacts, legendaries. It's so good. So, back to talking about how some of all the cards get buffed with Jodah. We're almost to Jodah, I promise. Codis, the Fang Keeper. It's a 4-drop. It's a 2/1 with indestructible. Whenever Codis deals combat damage to a player, exile the top X cards of their library, where X is the amount of damage dealt. You may cast any number of spells with mana value X or less from among them without paying their mana cost. Let's just give ourselves all kinds of junk. When Jodah comes out, we have a couple of other dudes out. This thing's huge. Probably, I've had this at an 8/8 or an 8/7 before. And put the Reaver Cleaver on it, gets trample, so it becomes a 9/8. And we make treasures, we steal stuff, and it's amazing. Another 4-drop, Shalai, Voice of Plenty. Should be familiar to most people, but a 3 in white for a 3/4 flying. You, Planeswalkers you control, and other creatures you control have hexproof. That's pretty good. And as a little mana dump, you can pay 4 and 2 green, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. That's pretty fantastic. We have here Inigo, Avenging Swordsman, or actually Samut, Voice of Dissent. 3, a green, and a red. 3/4 flash. Double strike, vigilance, haste. Other creatures you control have haste. Very good. Pay 1 white, tap him, untap another target creature. So, speaks for himself. Gives our stuff haste. And it has double strike, vigilance, haste. It gets huge. It's, well, you wouldn't tap it. It has vigilance. Our first Rainbow Dude, Niv Mizzet Guild Pack. 6/6 flying, hexproof, and multicolored. This activates Sisay to become a 7/7, and we can start tutoring for some big stuff. Whenever this deals combat damage to a player, it deals X damage to any target. Target player draws X cards, and you gain X life, where X is the number of different color pairs among permanents you control that are exactly 2 colors. We don't have a whole lot of that, but we do have some. So this could trigger, but it's still a 6/6 flyer that activates our commander to her fullest potential, and it has hexproof and multicolored, which there's a lot of that stuff in Commander. We have Arvad the Cursed, 3, a white and a black, 3/3 with Death Touch and Lifelink. Other legendary creatures you control get a +2/+2 buff. That's pretty fantastic, in addition to all the other buffs we have going on. Cathril Aspect Warper, 2 and Asbin. When it enters the battlefield, put a flying counter on any creature you control if a creature card in your graveyard has flying. See, it's not bad for stuff to be in our graveyard. Repeat this process for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance. Then put a 1/1 counter on Cathril for each counter put on a creature this way. It's a 3/3. So if our graveyard's a little bit full, this comes out. We can at least get him up to like 7/7 and then buff him with everything else. And then our other creature gains a lot of abilities. And then we have Odric that gives all the abilities to everybody. It's just mint. Ayo the Dawn Sky, 5/4 Flying Vigilance for 3 and 2 white. When it dies, choose one. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put any number of non-land permanent cards with total mana value 4 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Or put 2 1/1 counters on each permanent you control that's a creature or vehicle. There's no downside. It flies, it has vigilance, and it does stuff when it dies. Go ahead, board wipe, because I also have this. Kura, the Boundless Sky, 3 and 2 green, 4/4 flying Death Touch. When it dies, choose one. Search your library for up to 3 land cards. Doesn't specify basic. Reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. Or Create an XX green spirit creature token where X is the number of lands you control. Go ahead, blow up my board. I'm going to get all kinds of value from it. Thank goodness, we finally come to it. Boom! Jodah, the Unifier, aka SpongeBob SquarePants. Legendary creatures you control get a +X buff, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control. Whenever you cast a legendary spell from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a legendary non-land card with lesser mana value. Mana value, English Patrick. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. That's fantastic. This makes our deck just go boom! And it's SpongeBob, so you can't hate it. We have a Tally, the Primal Storm, 6/6 for 4 and a 2 red. Whenever a Tally Primal Storm attacks, exile the top card of each player's library. You may cast any number of spells from among those cards without paying their mana costs. So we get to steal something from each player and ourselves. It's pretty good, because we have all legendaries. Some of the big heavy hitters, though, we have 5 of them in the deck, which is kind of rough if you get them too early. Aurelia, the War Leader. 2 red and 2 white. For a 3/4 with flying, vigilance, and haste. Whenever she attacks for the first time each turn, untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. So 2 combats with some big beefy boys. We're going to be swinging in for tons of damage. Lots of value here. We have now Gary the Snail. Toxerol the Corrosive. He's a 7-drop, 5 and 2 black. At the beginning of each end step, put a slime counter on each creature you don't control. Creatures you don't control get -1/-1 for each slime counter on them. Whenever a creature you don't control with a slime counter on it dies, create a 1/1 black slug creature token. You may pay blue and a black to sack a slug to draw a card, and it's going to be huge. Game winning, especially with a lot of players and lots of end steps. We have Nezahal Primal Tide. Can't be countered. It's a 7-drop, 5 and 2 blue for a 7/7. You have no maximum hand size, and whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, draw a card. Discard 3 cards, exile this, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So we can kind of evade with this thing a little bit and maintain our card draw value. It's awesome, and it's a dinosaur. Pretty cool. Look at that artwork. That's so cool. Alright, moving on. And we have here Gisela, Blade of Gold Knight. It's a 7-drop, 4, a red and 2 white, 5/5 flying first strike. If a source would deal damage to an opponent or permanent an opponent controls, that source deals double that damage to that player instead. Doesn't say that we control. It says if a source would deal damage. So that's pretty awesome. And if a source would deal damage to us or a permanent we control, prevent half that damage, round it up. And it's a 5/5 that flies with first strike. So it's amazing. Last but not least, our big boy, Bladewing Deathless Tyrant. 6/6 flying and haste. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker for each creature card in our graveyard, create a 2/2 black zombie knight creature token with menace. So if our graveyard does have some stuff in it, that's not a big deal. We get free value from it. And it gets huge, it flies, it has haste. It's just amazing. Let's go over some lands. I like to keep some basics in my deck. So we have 2 mountains, 2 swamps, 2 forests, 2 plains, and can you guess? 1 island. Blue is not a strong color in our mana values or in our mana costs throughout the deck, because we have plenty of other resources available. For tutoring, we have a Myriad Landscape. Oops, you were probably going to want to read that if you haven't seen it. And it's tapped. Taps for colorless. Pay 2, tap it, sag it, look for 2 basic land cards that share a land type. Put them on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Kind of early game hopes for this one, or we can discard it if we need to with our instance that draws us cards. But it gets us 2 of these, unless we want to search for our island, but it's all good. Term of Expanse, You sack it, find a basic land, and it's tapped. We have a couple of the flip lands, the Branch Loft and Riverglide Pathways. The Branch Loft flips for white. This side flips for taps for green, and then this one taps for blue. The other side taps for red. So we can kind of pick and see what we're up against. There's plenty of black mana in this deck, so I don't have another one available for this deck at the moment. We have two temples. Temple of Enlightenment and Temple of Plenty. These let us scry one in the beginning. Hopefully we get to play in the beginning of our game. And they tap for white and blue and white and green. So it's pretty helpful. We have two man lands. We have a Restless Anchorage and a Restless Biovac. They tap for red-white or blue-white, blue or white, and red or white. And you can pay a small fee and get, a creature out of it. And when this one attacks, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. And then when this one attacks, create a map token so we can get one of our dudes to explore if we trigger the map token. We have a Sacred Foundry. It's a shock land, pay 2 life, you know the drill. And we have some check lands. Prairie Stream, it checks for 2 or more basic lands, taps for white or blue. Glacial Fortress, checks for a plains or an island, taps for white or blue. Hinterland Harbor, checks for a forest or island, taps for green or blue. Clifftop Retreat, it checks for mountain or plains, taps for red or white. Woodland Cemetery, checks for a swamp or forest, taps for green or black. Isolated Chapel, it checks for plains or swamp, taps for white or black. Sun Petal Grove, checks for a forest or plains, and taps for green or white. And we have some legendary lands. Gyre Reach Sanitarium, taps for colorless, or we can pay 2, tap it, each player draws a card, then discards. Again, not a big deal if we put some creatures in our graveyard, because we have other creatures that do good stuff, and ways to bring them back. Mikokoro, Center of the Sea, taps for colorless, pay 2, tap it, each player draws a card. Shizo, Death's Storehouse, seems pretty good, taps for black, or we can pay a black, tap it, target legendary creature gains fear until end of turn. Fear says, it can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or black creatures. Seems racist, but it's pretty good. We also have the Havengal Laboratory. It taps for colorless, or you can pay 4 and tap it to investigate, create a clue token. And once we get 3 clues and we sacrifice them, this transforms. When this land transforms into Havengal Mystery, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. When the creature put onto the battlefield with this card leaves the battlefield, transform this. Pay 1 life, tap for black. So it's legendary. We can tutor for it, ramp a little bit, clue tokens. They do good stuff. And we got a pain land, Cave of Kolios. Taps are white or black if it hits us for 1 damage, or colorless. Skycloud Expanse is one of our filter lands. You can pay 1 of any color because we're running Wooburg, so we want that to be a 1 and not a hybrid. Taps for white and blue together. Exotic Orchard, because why not? We need all of the resources we can get. So if our opponents are playing stuff, we're playing stuff. Ooh, excuse me. The World Tree is pretty good too. Enters tapped, taps for green. As long as you control 6 or more lands, lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. So kind of like the Chromatic Lantern. We can also pay double Wooburg, tap it, sacrifice it, and search our library for any number of god cards, put them on the battlefield, then shuffle our library. Yeah, we're not doing that because we want to have 1 mana of any color in an easy tutorable thing, especially when there's something that says search for a land. Spire of Industry, tap for colorless, or we can pay 1 life and get 1 mana of any color. Activate if we control an artifact. Well, that's easy enough. We have artifacts. Command Tower, basic, 1 mana of any color in our commander's identity. Opal Palace, colorless, or we can pay 1, tap it for 1 mana of any color in our commander's identity. If you spend it to cast your commander, it enters the battlefield with a number of 1/1 counters on it equal to the number of times it's been cast from the command zone this game. She's going to be killed on sight a lot, so we'll see what happens. Last land, Cascading Cataracts. It's indestructible. Taps for colorless, but we can pay 5, tap it, add 5 mana in any combination of colors to our mana pool. So, say we're getting land destruction going on, we're losing out on stuff, we can pay 5 mana of any color, including colorless, to tap this, and then add Wooburg, activate Sisay, bring out some big guns. Thanks for watching my video. I appreciate it. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of this deck, and if you'd play it. I'm also curious to hear if anyone has any constructive criticism on how to make it better. It does run pretty darn good by itself. I think it classifies as a bracket 3 right now, and it is pretty fun to play in casual games. It does get out of hand if it's not checked, or if it's left unchecked, whatever the statement for that might be. But anyways, if you like this stuff and you like Commander, I love Commander. I'm going to be posting a deck every week until I run out of decks, or I can just keep making more. Let me know if I should do something homebrewed next week or an upgraded precon. I've got some ideas. I do have a homebrew focused land destruction deck, which could be interesting. And for those of you who are diabolical and toxic, it might be right up your alley. If not, I do have decks that based on 1/1 counters. I have life gain decks. I have some crazy landfall decks that aren't the World Shaper, although World Shaper, money. That deck is so great.